Thank you very much, Rabbi Browse. It is a pleasure to be with my IKAR family. Thanks for having me. And everybody, I have some thoughts I want to share because this is Elul. This is gearing up for the holiest time of the year. I know that our rabbi's favorite holiday is soon approaching, the one where we all suffer and can't wear nice things and don't get to eat or drink, and she just like revels in that. So here's what I want us to help think about as we move into the Slichot, which will be this evening, prayer of the highlights of this season, and then moving us into Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and Sukkot. This week's Torah portion is part of Moses's farewell address. And in it, he just kind of hits all the things he needs us to know when he's not going to be with us anymore. All the stuff that has to be in our hearts. And I want to highlight just one of them because it's so striking and it leads to what I want us to think about today. Moses says, Hanistarot ladonai Eloheinu v'haniglot lanu ulvanenu ad olam la'asot et kol divrei haTorah hazot. That the secret things belong to Adonai our God, but those things which are revealed, well, they belong to us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this teaching. Now, what's striking to me about that is, on the one hand, this is a fabulous endorsement of freedom to think whatever you want to think, that we get to decide what are the overt things, that's what's governed, and then his secret things, that's just between you and God. So think whatever you want. A brilliant way that the Torah allows us to have freedom of our soul, freedom of conscience. But it's also a bit paradoxical because part of what they're saying then is you would think that what God would want of us is conformity, would want obedience. And indeed, there's a rich Jewish tradition of the external things. Only eat these foods, don't work on these days, dress in these kinds of clothing. There's a whole series of laws. And yet Moses seems to be telling us that God's not into that stuff. God's not into the external. That's really among us. Do what you need to do for your community, for connection, for belonging, great. But God's into the secret stuff. God's into what's within. And that leads me now to think about the hidden things. And I want to tell you two stories. They're both from the realm of nature because I get a lot of my Torah out of nature, as some of you know. So here's the first story that caught my attention over the summer. There's an ancient Judean fruit, a date, that hasn't existed for the last 2,000 years. The dates that we have are Moroccan dates, and they're very sweet, and they're very rich, and they're delicious. But they're not the dates that our people ate when we lived in our land during the time of the first and second temple. The Judean date is gone. It turns out, though, that outside of Qumran, where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found, and on Masada, they uncovered old date seeds, the pits. And those pits are over 2,000 years old. And so a group of scientists at Kibbutz Keturah, which is a kibbutz nearby, some of us have had the pleasure to be there, they were able to nurture those ancient pits into life. And they produced a series of trees, one male tree they named Methuselah, and then a group of female trees because dates come in those flavors. And they were able last week to produce trees that were able to be fertilized and produce new Judean dates. And they're delicious. They're less sweet, they're a little more chewy, but they're delicious. And so they're eating fruit that has been hidden for 2,000 years. And then they brought it out into overt reality again. Isn't that incredible? Right? Something that we never thought we would experience, we now can experience again. Second story. It just so happens that IKAR is ground zero for a move to help out monarch butterflies. They are endangered. They travel all up and down the coast. They migrate from Northern California, from the Carmel area, all the way down to Mexico, and then all the way back again in the millions. And their numbers have been challenged. So some people have taken it upon themselves to do something about that. And it just turns out that the grand fairy godmother of monarch butterflies is Barbara Dalton Taylor. And she is the queen of the butterflies in every possible way. And this summer, she convinced Ilana, my wife, that she should take it on too. And Ilana has become the butterfly whisperer. So we now have all of these milkwood plants outside in our front courtyard. And every day she goes out and she looks for eggs, which are just the size of pinprints, and for caterpillars, which when they come out of the egg are so small you can't see them at all. Caterpillars, it turns out, only eat these milkweed plants, and their whole job is to just eat and eat and eat. Like Jews my age and around that age, they can easily gain 2,000 times their original weight just by what they eat, right? It's like life as kiddush. And these caterpillars grow to be about 2 inches long. And then when they're ready, they go up to the roof of whatever, or to the bottom of a leaf on the plant, and they take the shape of an upside down J. And they spin silk on where their feet are, and they hang from that. And then here's the thing they do. They don't make a cocoon, they become the cocoon. As it chucks off its outer skin, it simultaneously dissolves into itself, and it becomes this gorgeous greenish yellow piece of jewelry. And I mean that literally, because the monarch butterfly is not just this beautiful pale green, but it also has these sparkly gold metal dots that line it, so that it really looks like a piece of serious bling from Tiffany, which is appropriate because we're Beverly Hills adjacent, so you got to keep up images. And these magnificent animals turn into their cocoon, and then after 10 days, they emerge. And you watch them dazed step into the world, and their wings unfurl over the course of a couple hours, and they open them, close them, open them, close them, which they've never had wings before. They woke up able to fly. And then you have the pleasure of helping them out, and then they fly away. Now, here's what I'm thinking about those butterflies. Isn't that what we're all supposed to do this time of year? Aren't we also to attend to what we need so that we also are able to transform ourselves into something resplendent and capable of soaring? And isn't that what this season gives us the capacity to do? The magnificent music of Hillel and others, the wonderful teachings of our rabbis are all designed to help us to fly, to be able to soar. And so, my friends, here's what I want us to hold on to. The secret things truly are of God. What we do inside our nesting while we're sheltering at home, like the butterflies, while we're lying dormant, like Methuselah and his new children, we also are getting ready to emerge into the light of day. And we will come out of this. And we will come out of this because of the choices we've made during, because of the ways we've been there with each other and for each other. We will emerge glorious and beautiful and capable of soaring to great heights. And so what I'd like us to remember is that right now is cocoon time. But cocoon time only looks passive from the outside. Right now is sheltering date time, but the potential to burst out into the world in a beautiful tree yet again, to be able to bring sweetness into the world, it's there. And then the second and extraordinary thing is that once these ancient dates produce trees that produce dates, well, without anyone teaching them, they have everything they need. Everything they need. And the caterpillar that emerges as a butterfly has never been a butterfly, but it's got everything it needs to flourish and to thrive and to bring beauty in the world. Friends, so do you. You have everything you need. So feel that. Allow yourself to be in touch with the secret things, the nistarot, that are of God in each of us, in you. And know that when the time comes, you too will be capable of flying to great heights, armed with everything you need to make the world beautiful and to be able to soar. Shabbat Shalom.